I talk to a ton of people when it comes to starting keto, being successful on keto, and failing at keto. And the same mistakes come up over and over again. And today I'm going to identify the top 5 mistakes that people make and what you can do to be successful in your keto journey. Stay tuned. Hey everybody, this is Dan Perryman, former hospital CEO turned entrepreneur, personal trainer, fitness enthusiast, and low-carb advocate. And in this video, I am going to be talking about the top 5 mistakes that most people make when it comes to keto. So let's get started. So before I get started with the top 5 problems, I do want to address mindset. So before you start keto, or before you start low carb, or before you start an exercise program, or before you start yoga, or before you start anything else, make sure that you sit down and you write out your why. Why is this important to you? Because when things get difficult, that's going to save you and keep you on track. Okay, let's get to the first common mistake, and that is thinking you're in ketosis when you're actually not. So when I hear somebody say, I've been keto for a month and I haven't lost 1 pound, in fact, I've gained weight, the first thing I think is that they've actually never really got into ketosis. The only way to know for sure is to measure. And there's 3 different ways to really measure: urine, blood, and breath. So urine sticks, they're a cheap way, but they're pretty inaccurate. They may work for the first week, but once your body starts using ketones effectively, it's going to go to 0. That's usually what happens. And that's usually what I hear people say is that, hey, what's the matter? I'm using keto sticks with urine. For the first week, it was great. And now I'm not showing any ketones. That's why, because they're pretty inaccurate. And then there's breath. So there's a few ketone breath meters out there, but it's kind of new technology. So I think that technology is beginning to develop, but I don't think it's there yet. I highly recommend that you measure your blood ketones with a glucose ketone blood monitor. That's the absolute accurate way to know if you have a higher level of ketones in your blood. And I'm putting the links below to a couple ketone monitors that I use that I recommend. You can check those out along with everything else about this episode. So, number 1, thinking you're in ketosis when you're not. Another common mistake that I see, number 2, is that people think that calories do not matter. Now, I am not saying a calorie is a calorie is a calorie is a calorie. Because every time I say something about calories, somebody will say, it's not calorie in, calorie out. And I absolutely agree with that. Absolutely. But think about this for a minute. If I ate 10,000 calories of bacon per day, technically I would be keto. Would I lose weight? I don't think so, right? I would gain weight because that's a lot of calories. So we need to at least keep calories in mind. Now, this is why low carb and keto is superior to low fat, because it creates this metabolic advantage. And I want to go over the top 3 ways that it does this just to motivate you to continue to do keto, right? But it doesn't give you a license to eat all day long, all night long, and eat whatever you want, right? So we're going to get to that. So number 1, keto adaptation increases the rate of fat burning compared to other diets. So it keeps your insulin levels low, and insulin stores fat. And without insulin, you will burn fat. Second, gluconeogenesis requires energy. So when carb intake is low, the body uses amino acids to create glucose that's needed by certain body tissues, like red blood cells and parts of the eye. This is energetically costly, so it's estimated that around 400 to 600 extra calories per day may be required for this process. Third, the thermic effect of food. So especially when it comes to protein, if you eat a gram of protein, it takes about 30% of that gram to process the protein. So when you put these factors into place, what you're doing is you're creating this metabolic advantage for your body, right? So you're burning more calories, your metabolism is increased, you're healthier, you're giving your body the fuel source that it needs. And lastly, a common keto symptom is that we feel more full, right? So you've all experienced this. This is why intermittent fasting goes along with keto so well. It's not that we purposely fast all the time. It's just that I'm not hungry till 1 o'clock in the afternoon and then I'll eat. So naturally, I am fasting for part of the day. So easy enough. Eat when you're hungry, stop when you're not. The next common mistake, number 3, underestimating the effect of cheat meals or thinking that you need more cheat meals than you actually do. And this is a problem that I see all the time. Somebody will start keto, they'll be on keto for a week, and they'll be like, hey, I did a cheat meal, and now I'm back into keto. Well, it does not work that way. Did you know one cheat meal can throw you out of ketosis for days if you're fat adapted, up to a week, even longer? So if you're starting keto and you have a cheat meal every weekend, more than likely you are not even getting into ketosis at all because the cheat meals are throwing you out. So if you're just starting, I would recommend stay low carb, avoid the cheat meals, and you will be much more successful. And the worst part of doing cheat meals, remember, ketogenic diet is high fat and low carb. That's what makes it successful. But when you do keto, high fat, low carb, and then you put in usually poor quality carbs, so you up your carbs, now you have a high fat, high carb diet, which is not healthy. That's what we're trying to get away from with keto. All right. So avoid the cheat meals. Number 4, thinking keto is all about weight loss. 95% of the people who start keto are doing it for weight loss. And the problem is when you're doing it about weight loss and weight loss is the only concern, then it doesn't matter what quality of food you choose or how well balanced it is. You just eat meat and keep your vegetables almost at zero and intermittent fast, and it's all about weight loss, where what it should really be about is overall health. So weight loss is an excellent side effect of keto, but what you should do is focus on creating a well-balanced ketogenic way of eating and living. So eat keto, eat low carb, eat a well-balanced diet. Also focus on other factors of creating a healthy lifestyle, a good morning routine, good sleep, exercise, social interaction with others, being positive, improving yourself. All together, that's what creates health. Weight loss is important, but it shouldn't be the most important thing. And lastly, throw away your scale. Focus on how your clothes fit, right? I see this all the time. People are weighing themselves almost hourly and being frustrated because it's not working. A ketogenic way of eating is science. It's not magic. It takes time. I don't go to the gym for the first time ever and do a squat and then say, I can join a bodybuilding competition because I just did squats for the first time and I don't understand why my legs aren't getting bigger. You would say that's absurd. It takes a long time. Well, it's the same way. This is a lifestyle. It's not a rush job when it comes to losing weight. So keep that in mind. If your only goal is weight loss, broaden your perspective into overall health and the weight will come off. Lastly, did you know that most people in the world are sleep deprived. Not getting enough sleep is one of the biggest mistakes that people make. They focus on what they eat, they exercise, and then they sleep 3 hours a night, and they wonder why things aren't working out for them. So let me spend a little bit of time talking about why sleep is important. Here's some studies, especially when it comes to weight loss. So, an American study looked at 68,000 women over a period of 16 years. Those who slept 7 hours were good. If you slept less than 6, you gain weight. A study in Japan looked at 35,000 employees, mostly men, and concluded that short sleep duration was associated with weight gain and the development of obesity over 1 year. Another study stated that losing just 16 minutes of sleep per night increased the risk of obesity. And the last study at Stanford University looked at a relationship between 1,000 people's sleeping habits and their weight. The data revealed that sleeping less than 8 hours was associated with obesity. And if you're thinking that's crazy, it's not crazy. This is how your hormones work. Why? This is what happens because when you don't sleep, you mess up your insulin, your cortisol, your ghrelin, your leptin, and your human growth hormones. Just to list a few. So what happens with insulin? If you mess that up, it makes you store more fat. Hunger hormones? If you don't sleep enough, your ghrelin, your leptin is going to be messed up and it's going to make you hungry. And we've all experienced this. You don't sleep, the next day you are just starving for carbs. It always happens. Cortisol? Lack of sleep increases cortisol production, making you store fat and burn muscle. And a higher cortisol level also increases your appetite. And human growth hormone, production of HGH is the highest when you sleep. So if you get less sleep, deep sleep, then you have less human growth hormone. So not sleeping absolutely affects your hormones and can stop you from losing weight. So how do you improve your sleep? There's a few easy things you can do. First of all, you need to establish a sleep routine. I wear blue blocker glasses every single night because the blue light from the TV, from your phone, from your laptop computer suppresses melatonin. It suppresses your sleep hormone. So you could actually be sleeping the right number of hours, but your quality of sleep is so poor that you're actually not going through your sleep cycles. You need to focus on getting quality sleep. And if you think, I'm going to drink some alcohol and smoke some weed and I'm going to sleep well, you're sleeping well while you're passing out, but it does affect your REM sleep cycle. Relax before bed. Studies have shown that reading a book of fiction is best because it allows your mind to create images and allows you to relax. Keep your room cool, about 68 degrees, because we all sleep better when it's cold. And then blackout curtains. Your room needs to be dark. So they did this study. They put a quarter-size patch underneath somebody's knee, covered them up with blankets, and used a little bit of light on this patch. And what they found out is that your skin is so sensitive to light that it actually affected that person's melatonin levels because of that little patch under their knee. So if you're thinking you're going to wear something over your eyes and that's going to help, it's not. You need to have your room blacked out. All right, so those are the top 5 common mistakes. So if keto and low carb isn't working for you as you thought, go back and take a look at this list and see how they apply in your life. All right, everybody, I really enjoyed this. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button, and best of luck on your ketogenic and low carb journey.